On these shores, though, the CONCACAF Champions Cup Final looms on Sunday. Vancouver Whitecaps against Cruz Azul, the famed Vancouver icon of Times Square against Mexico City. Don't quite know what was in that CONCACAF video that came out last night, but finally here, the Whitecaps have continued this rise. They pick up a 3-2 win, comeback win over Real Salt Lake. They play Minnesota United midweek. It seems like everything is back to going right for this team. Of course, still the one loss on the season. Heading into this week, what's the confidence and feelings around this Whitecaps team, Brennan?
They should be pretty confident, even if CONCACAF misrepresented them by showing an iconic shot of New York there. I do wonder about that, and if we should maybe tweet it from our account for those who don't know what you're referring to, because it's a quick miss. I know that you screen grabbed it and you tweeted it, so you can check Ben's Twitter account as well. You probably put it on Blue Sky, but I got a real chuckle out of that. And I would love to know how that came about. If CONCACAF was doing something there, they just ran all the teams up, and then someone's like, yo, we can't not use this shot. This shot is amazing. Like, when would we use the shot if we don't use it now? Fine, just put it in there now. Or they're like, oh, that's Vancouver, right? It must be. Look at the logo. It has to be it. I'm excited to see this final. It's a shame that it's not a BC Place. It's a shame that I think it'll be buried in what's a busy life period now, and a busy kind of sports period as well, because look, this tournament will never get the spotlight that the UEFA Champions League gets, and it's a shame that this game isn't enough to pull that. It's a weird year for Cruz Azul that they're not playing in their own stadium. Mexican soccer seems to be like on this decline that doesn't have the same prestige. But for the Whitecaps, none of that crap matters, man. Go out there and be crowned the kings of CONCACAF and become just the second MLS team to do it. And I think that there's less pressure on them than there was on LAFC with Bob Bradley, than there was on the Seattle Sounders, who did it, than there was on the Columbus Crew, who maybe were playing with house money in a way, but felt as though the standard had been set now, that the expectation was, we're MLS, we got to do this again. I don't think the Whitecaps kind of feel that pressure, which is a really good situation to be in. And the way they're going, it does feel like, they've continued to get better since we saw them in Miami, and I think that they're in a real good position to do something special.
Well, Brendan, just to quickly riff off those teams you mentioned, Columbus Crew defending like they were an MLS Cup champion, right? They're a team that had won that thing. LAFC, they were the defending MLS Cup champion. Seattle Sounders, they were a multiple-time MLS Cup champion. The Whitecaps we do have to remember how out of nowhere this is, because they got in with the Canadian Championship, winning it 3 times in a row. But this is a team that finished 8th in the West last year and got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And it just is a reminder of how unprecedented this run really was.
And when you look at this game, of course, they're not going to have Sebastian Berhalter, who again played a vital role in their comeback win against Real Salt Lake. There will be a bit of a vibe in Vancouver, I would think. There is going to be an outdoor viewing party at Terry Fox Plaza, which I love. And it also reminds me of when I watched the UEFA Champions League final. I forget who it was. I think it was Liverpool against Real Madrid. I forget what year it was. And I watched that outside before the Whitecaps game, going inside with my grandfather years ago.
2018 that would have been if it was Real Madrid, Liverpool.
Yeah, I think it was. It was Villa had lost in the promotion final to Fulham that exact same day, actually. John Terry's, I almost said Don Cherry. John Terry's Aston Villa fell to Fulham in the playoff promotion final. I was gutted.
John Terry, the player, too, right? Because that was the year he played in the championship.
Yeah. John Terry, the player. Yeah, before he became an assistant coach.
Well, it will offer a bit of a vibe, I think. Outdoor viewing parties are always fun, and it's nice to see the Whitecaps are pulling one together. But Alex, when you look at this matchup for the Whitecaps, of course, Cruz Azul, not quite the season that they were hoping for in the Clausura, and Toluca come out on top in the Clausura over Club America in the final, and there'll be another big game, Club America against LAFC for a Club World Cup spot this weekend. But when you look at Cruz Azul and the opponent they're going to provide for the Whitecaps, what do you see in this team, and how can the Whitecaps find a CONCACAF Champions Cup title here?
Yeah, I think first off, this is a great matchup, because genuinely looking at what we know, like the Whitecaps have been the best team in MLS this year, you can argue, in terms of all the metrics. Well, by that same token, Cruz Azul have kind of been the best team in Mexico, just because a lot of the Giants, of course, though I'm sure there's a Toluca fan out here, but hey, they just won the league. It's Toluca. But Toluca, like they kind of grinded their way to the final, and it's a very deserved win. But Club America kind of took a step back after winning 3 in a row. Monterrey and Tigres weren't as good as they were. But man, every time I watch this Cruz Azul team, I dive into the numbers. I look at their squad. This is a good team. And I think for them, they know that since they let the Mexican League slip, it's kind of a big opportunity for the group. So I'm really fascinated. I mean, we've talked about it. They play a 3-4-3. That's just so fun to watch. Their wing backs are going to fly forward. They have Jorge Sanchez, the former, man, he's got a crazy CV. It's like Porto and Ajax are two of the European teams he spent time at. Like, what two different cities, teams, vibes to spend your time at. He's always one to watch. But they also defend really solidly. Like, they allow that less than 1 XG per game. They defend in a back five where they're wing backs. That's what I mean. They're fit. They go up and they're causing problems, but they come back and defend, which is what makes them so like, they're not a team that sacrifices offense for defense. Vice versa, they're good in the box, but also good at defending their own box. And other than Sanchez, they got Eric Leer, the Mexican international, in the midfield. We got guys like, Mateus Bogus, who MLS fans will know, Faravelli, a dangerous winger, Sepp Vadula, the striker, crazy name, crazy goal scorer. He seems like he has a couple goals in his boots. And just a reminder of their depth is they spent 10 million, I think it was, to have Dakamakis from Atlanta, and he's a super sub. He comes in the bench as cleanup duty. So it is just a reminder that those Mexican teams, for all their struggles, Brendan, they still spend a lot of money on good players.
No, for sure. And look, that team has pieces. Dakamakis is incredible. He seems very well suited to the North American game, albeit now he's south of the border. He does give me Andre Pierre Gignac vibes, and I think someone that could make a real home there for like a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking at him as an ambassador through the World Cup for Mexican soccer, and afterwards. He seems like someone that might really fall in love with that place permanently. But look, there's more pressure on Cruz Azul than on the Whitecaps, and I genuinely think that will work to their advantage. The disadvantage is you're still going to Mexico. You're still trying to get a result against a team that's got a lot of pieces to burn you. And it'll be a tight game. I hope that it's entertaining. And I really hope that the country's paying attention because, as we say constantly, this team is so worth staying up for to watch. And now they're battling for CONCACAF supremacy. So tune in. Don't miss it.
Just a reminder for context, Cruz Azul, I think, are tied for the most all-time wins of Champions Cup. Or no, they're one behind. They have 6. Club America have 7. This is a chance for Cruz Azul to become the co-joint highest winner of this tournament. Like, they have a lot of history of success.
And for the Whitecaps, of course, it's just dreamland. They're not playing with any pressure at this moment. I think that's really what has benefited them throughout this season so far. And I think it's actually a benefit that they're playing against Minnesota United midweek. Before the Miami series, they played against Minnesota United midweek and then went on to dominate Miami. So maybe playing Minnesota United is some like loon god good omen for the Whitecaps.
I like that. Can we call Tony Aloise the Loon God? That seems like a fantastic nickname that you've just unintentionally stepped into.
Or Dane Sinclair. Maybe they might have to fight for it. Like a penalty shootout, 10 shots.
Yeah, I think it just requires context. So it'd be like, what is he, crazy? No. We got to create a logo or something for it. But I think that's a pretty good moniker. There's not that many out there. I like the way that it lines up. I mean, obviously playing against Minnesota seemed to give them a real boost of confidence. I do think that Jesper Sorenson can allow himself and his team the opportunity to rotate and to like take their foot off the gas, but they are physically and mentally incapable of doing that. So while I do suspect you'll see 3-4 changes to the starting 11, I expect that you will see all of the regulars and 13 of the top 15 guys that are going to feature in the final that they will feature against Minnesota.
Sorensen also suggested to reporters that he's more focused on the best 11 to finish a match. And I think we've seen that through recent spells that comeback against RSL included, rather than a starting 11. And that might seem a little bit backwards, but it is an interesting way that seems to have worked for Jesper Sorensen and the Whitecaps so far this season. And another point that Axel Schuster, made on the AFTN podcast with Michael McCall was that the Whitecaps have actually taken some strategies to avoid shitty situation, one might say, like Columbus Crew had last year with the CONCACAF Champions Cup Final when they had food poisoning. And we'll put the expletive on this video for that. I think that's the second week that one of us have had that, but it certainly will be an engaging final.
Stop being so shitty about it, Ben.
That's it. You want to be running in Mexico. You don't want the runs in Mexico. Let's just say that.
Certainly will be fun. That match, of course, 6:00 Pacific time on Sunday, and I'll be at Estadio Olímpico Universitario in Mexico City for that one, and I'm quite excited to be there for that.
They say in Spanish. Enjoy it.
We'll hope for power bars and Wi-Fi. That's the minimum standard. Wi-Fi I can do without, actually. Plug would be great, and that was a worry in Miami.